Shalom, 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 family. Peace and love. This is Brother Yisrael coming to you on this Sabbath day in honor of the Most High Yah. It's 10/21/23, and I'm going to hold a Shabbat class. Again, this is Brother Yisrael, also known as the Guardian of Truth, and we're going to hold Shabbat in honor of the Most High Yah. Let's get into it. So, I think when learning about the Most High, the best thing is to do is to kind of start from the beginning, maybe not the very beginning in this lesson, but as Israelites, so-called black people, we need to learn and understand who we are, where we come from, our true history, and not the history that somebody else has given us, which is full of lies, inaccuracies, and stories told from their perspective in order to get us to mislead us and not know our true identity of ourselves, to lead us in the ways of wickedness, or to continue our path in the ways of wickedness, and to prevent us from doing righteous things and being righteous and coming back to the Most High Yah. That's where we need to be. We need to come back to the Most High Yah with our full hearts and love Him, honor and obey Him, honor and obey His laws and commands, so that we can get back into our rightful position as the chosen people, so we can get out of oppression, out of abuse, out of racism, and all these things that we find ourselves in. It's not a coincidence. All of it is covered in the Word. All we have to do is open up our eyes, open up our ears, and open up our hearts to receive it. And whether you want to receive it or not, the truth is the truth. The Most High don't really care whether you receive it or not. His truth is His truth. He's the Almighty, the All Powerful. So He not worried about whether you choose to accept what He say and His laws and commands. That's up to us. And not listening and disobedience is the whole reason that we in this mess in the first place. But we're gonna start out at Genesis. We're gonna start out Genesis chapter 12. We're going to start off talking about Abram, or Abraham. His name was originally Abram. And we're going to start off talking about when Yah called him. So basically, after the great flood, and after Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Yosef, after their lineage passed on and, continued on, and they repopulated the world because everybody was killed. The Most High destroyed everything. He destroyed all the creatures that wasn't in the sea. He destroyed everything out of our wickedness. So hundreds of years later, the Most High chose Abraham to make a covenant with him. So we're going to read, I'm reading out the NIV version just because I know that's it's a lot easier to deal with, because that's closer to the way that we speak. We don't do the thee and thou and thy and all of that stuff. But it's good to have your King James version on hand. It's good to have multiple versions of the Bible on hand, your Torah, different things, whatever you can have on hand so you can compare, because a lot of things, the wordage is different. Some words are left out. Some Bibles show you the Hebrew meaning, because that's originally what we spoke. So they'll show you like what that word meant in Hebrew, or they'll tell you like the Hebrew word for that is uncertain. So you kind of know they just placing whatever they think that means in that place. So that's kind of what the study Bibles kind of do for you. The King James gives you certain viewpoints and aspects too. So it's good to study out of various Bibles. But I'm looking at the NIV version today. So it says, the call of Abram. The Most High said to Abram, leave your country your people and your father's household and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. So Abram left as the Most High had told him, and Lot went with him. Lot was his nephew, Abram's nephew. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarah, who later her name became Sarah, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and all the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. Yah appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar to the Most High who had appeared to him. From there he went on toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to Yah and called on the name of Yah. Then Abram set out and continued toward the Negev. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. And he was about to enter Egypt. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that she was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace. He treated Abram well for her sake, and Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, men servants and maid servants, and camels. But Yah inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife Sarai. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? So I took her to be my wife. Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. So we're going to pause right there. Here we see that men using their women to kind of like almost pimp them out, or uh, to kind of use their body and their flesh to as protection, or to say like, you know, I'm not letting nobody hurt you, because men have always fought and killed over beautiful women and hurt other men, to get their women. So basically Abram was like, well, when they was going to Egypt, he like, they not gonna hurt me because you so pretty and fine. So say that you my sister instead of my wife. So that way, if they like you, then they'll just try to do something with you, or take you as Pharaoh did to be his wife, or something like that, and they'll show favor on me, because if they think you my sister, they gonna be like, kind of like, man, hook me up with your sister, man, or put in a good word, something like that. So this is how you know that you're dealing with our people, because this is the type of stuff that we even do today. And you can feel the vibration and the style and the method. You just look at the book. Not only that, it's plenty of references, and we gonna keep on learning about those. But it's like he was afraid that they would hurt him, so he like, man, I'm not telling nobody that this my woman, this my wife. I'm good. I'm gonna say she my sister. But in reality, he didn't really lie. he told like a small lie because she was his half sister. So he really didn't totally lie. I mean, she was his sister, but because they took her, well, because Pharaoh took her to be his wife, the Most High inflicted, what did he say? He inflicted boils or serious disease. So whatever that disease was, he inflicted serious disease on Pharaoh and a household because of this, because he had favor upon Abram, and of course he didn't have favor upon the Egyptians, because the Egyptians, they wasn't his people. They didn't believe in him. They believed in other gods. But ultimately, Pharaoh recognized the error of his ways, and he like, man, take your wife back. Why you ain't tell me this was your wife? What is you on? And Abraham did it because he was scared, and he like, man, they not finna kill me or hurt me because of you. But that's wild when you think about it. Like, man, you finna like basically disown your woman or disown your. But it's not that wild because when people are scared or they fear for their life, they may do anything. And he really only told somewhat of a lie. It really wasn't even a full lie because she was his half sister. So, and at that time, that was okay. As we continue on later on, the Most High, changed that. Like, you can't, relations that's that close, you couldn't have those relations. Now, we would still, to keep bloodlines close and to keep our people from going with other nations and losing our love for Yah and following other wicked customs and traditions and stuff, the Most High did and does want us to stay away from other nations as far as mixing and laying with them, having sex and breeding with them, creating life, procreating with them. He doesn't want that because it perverts the bloodlines, and then also you're going to follow their traditions and their ways if you're with them, if you're in a relationship with them, if you are having babies with them, especially like a male. Typically, the child is going to go in the mother's ways. The child is around the mother, especially in today's society. The child is going to stay with the mother typically. So if she is doing wicked ways, or if she is praising other gods, then typically that's what the child is going to do because the child is raised in her house. The child learns from her. The mother is the first teacher of the child. And then sometimes she's the primary or only teacher of the child, depending on the situation and depending on if the father is around or not. So we continue on. Genesis chapter 13. Abram and Lot separate. So Abram went up from Egypt to the Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. From the Negev, he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier, and where he had first built an altar. There Abram called on the name of Yah. Now Lot was moving about with Abram also. Now Lot, who was moving about with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they weren't able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's herdsmen and the herdsmen of Lot, the Canaanites and Perizzites, who were also living in the land at the time. So Abram said to Lot, let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herdsmen and mine, for we are brothers. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. We're going to pause for a second. So right there, that's just righteousness. Abram and Lot, they related. They care for each other. So Lot is basically like, once they saw that they both had a lot of riches in that time amongst our people. We were shepherds, so richness came in the way of cattle, land, and stuff like that. So they had a lot of cattle, a lot of herds, a lot of sheep, all of that stuff, and that's riches because that's worth money at that time. Especially, it's worth money now, but at that time, especially, it's worth money. So you know, that puts a lot of stress on the land if you have a lot of um, herds, a lot of sheep, a lot of cattle, etc., etc. I have it, so Abram and Lot, they both have a whole bunch of blessings from the Most High. Then after a while, they got servants, they got different people helping them, obviously, with these herds, fighting the raz, they arguing different stuff. And so since they the heads of their families, they basically like, like they like, let's not fight. If you go in one direction, I'll go to the other. And that way, we can have our own land. We don't have to have no quarreling or no fighting. Lot looked up and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan was well watered, like the garden of Yah, like the land of Egypt toward Zoar. This was before the Most High destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out toward the east. The two men parted company. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. I'm sorry. Now the men of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against Yah. The Most High said to Abram after Lot had parted from him, lift up your eyes from where you are and look north and south, east and west. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever. So that's the land of Canaan that he's telling him that he's going to give to him forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. So Abram moved his tents and went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he built an altar to Yah. Chapter 14. At this time, Amraphel, king of Shinar or Babylonia, Arioch, king of Elisar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goam, went to war against Bera, king of Sodom, Bershah, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemimbar, king of Zobeim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. So basically, I'm not going to read all of that. I'm going to summarize that. Chapter 14, Genesis 14, Abraham had to go rescue Lot. So what ended up happening was it was four kings and they nations, they tribes, they people, they warriors against five kings. So four great kings, or I don't know if they was great, but four kings against five kings. They both went to war against each other. So obviously that's a lot of people, that's a lot of kingdoms going to war at one time. So basically the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah, the group that they was in, they started losing. So the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and the group with the four kings, so the group with the five kings had Sodom and Gomorrah in it. They started losing to the four kings. So the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and the four kings seized all of Sodom and Gomorrah's goods, they land, they food. They in the season of that, since Lot was on that land, Lot was in Sodom, they end up seizing Lot. So Abram had to go rescue him. So basically, in rescuing him, he kind of had to. He almost kind of had to help Sodom in a way by rescuing his nephew Lot. So the word says, Genesis 14 and 13. One who had escaped came and reported this to Abram the Hebrew. Now Abram was living near the great trees of Mamre the Amorite, a brother of, or a seed, descendant of Echul and Anir, all of whom were allied with Abram. When Abram heard that his relative had been taken captive, he called out the 318 trained men born in his household and went in pursuit as far as Dan. During the night, Abram divided his men to attack them, and he routed them, pursuing them as far as Hobar, north of Damascus. He recovered all the goods and brought back his relative Lot and his possessions, together with the women and the people. After Abram returned from defeating Chedorlaomer, if that's how you pronounce it, I'm not the greatest with these pronunciations, and the kings allied with him, so that's the four kings. The king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. So he coming to meet him because he basically got back all the stuff. He got back his nephew Lot. So now he coming back like, oh, to basically to thank him and for, getting back their stuff. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem or Jerusalem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of Yah, and he blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be Abram by Yah, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High Yah, who delivered your enemies into your hand. Then Abram gave him a tenth of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people and keep the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to Yah, the Elohim, the Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and have taken an oath that I will accept nothing belonging to you, not even a thread or the thong of a sandal. You know those sandals that had, like a thong sandal. So not even a little piece of that. He not taking nothing from Sodom. Not nothing from the king of Sodom. So that you will never be able to say, I made Abram rich. I will accept nothing but what my men have eaten, and the share that belongs to the men who went with me, to Anir, Echul, and Mamre. Let them have their share. So he wasn't going to take nothing because Sodom was wicked anyway. They was not of the Most High. And then, he knew that the Most High didn't want him to say like, "Oh, I gave you the victory," or the king of Sodom can come to him later like, "Oh, you owe me because I gave you money and made you rich. So things that you have in the future, I can come to you and say, well, I had a part in that." He knew that he had to give the Most High Yah all the credit. Chapter 15. This is when the Most High Yah establishes his covenant with Abram. After this, the word of Yah came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I will be your shield, your very great reward. But Abram said, O sovereign Yah, what can you give me since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then the word of Yah came to him. This man will not be your heir, but a son is coming from your own body, who is coming from your own body will be your heir. He took him outside and said, Look up at the heavens and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, then he said to him, So shall be your offspring. Abram believed Yah, and he credited it to him as righteousness. He also said to him, I am Yah who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to take possession of it. But Abram said, O sovereign Yah, how can I know that I will gain possession of the land, or of it. So the Most High said to him, bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon. Abram brought all these things to him, cut them up in two, and arranged the halves opposite each other. The birds, however, he did not cut in half. The birds of prey came down on the carcasses, but Abram drove them away. Genesis 15 and 12. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Then Yah said to him, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated 400 years. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. I'm going to read that again because the Bible is prophetic. The Bible tells things that happen during that time. So the present, the Bible talks about things that happen in the past, but mostly the Bible focuses on things that's going to happen that's happening in the present and things that's going to happen in the future. And some of these things happen multiple times. You have to keep that in mind. Some of these things happen multiple times. So I'm going to read that again. Genesis 15 and 12. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. 13. Then the Most High said to him, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated 400 years. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. So the Most High is foreshadowing here. He's telling you what he already knows and already has planned for the Israelites. They wasn't called Israelites yet, but this is who he's talking about. These are the descendants that are later to come along from Abram. Abram's lineage goes Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, etc. on down the line. There are more children in there, but those are the main, people that God had covenants with and chose to do things, to lead, and they was special to the Most High Yah. So the Most High is basically telling Abram of the Israelites going into bondage in Egypt. But that 400 years is key because that 400 years happened in Egypt, and that 400 years happened again here in America too. So that's key. We've been in slavery many times. We was enslaved in Egypt, in Assyria, Babylonia, etc., etc., on down to America. But the time of Egypt and the time of America, 400 years of slavery. You, however, will go to your fathers in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the fourth generation, your descendants will come back here, for the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure. When the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoking firepot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. On that day, the Most High made a covenant with Abram and said, to your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Kadamites, Hittites, Perizzites, Raphites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Zubassites. or Ubusites, because it wasn't no J's. J wasn't created to 1500. So all the J's that you see in the Bible, they would be Y's instead of J's. Because the letter J wasn't created. They had no J in Hebrew. They had no J in any language until it was created into 1524, and it didn't go into use until wide uses to about 1600 and something. Genesis 16. Hagar and Ishmael. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, or Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Most High has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my maidservant. Perhaps I can build a family through her." I know the women in this generation are saying, "Oh, that's crazy, that's wild," but it's really not wild because in those times and in many cultures around the world, multiple wives, multiple women was definitely a thing that was done. It's only in this westernized American culture that they telling you one woman, one man, but in all through history, that practice has really never been followed, not to the extreme like it's followed or like it's preached upon in America, and especially when it comes to the so-called black man, the Israelite man. It's something that is one of the biggest concerns of the Israelite woman, the black woman, talking about cheating, talking about looking at another woman, wanting to be with another woman. But all of that is to keep your focus off the Most High. And it's not to say that women didn't get jealous and problems didn't get arise, as you're going to see as we continue reading. But the notion that a man is only going to want one or desire to lay with one woman once he chooses a woman for the rest of his life, that's pretty preposterous. It just doesn't exist and doesn't happen. It's really just make believe. Because whether the man tells you or not, whether he does it or not, he either is desiring it in his heart or he does it and you just don't know about it, or he does it and you do know about it. But this notion that it's one woman for one man. It's not even an equal number of men and women in the first place for that to happen. And this is just telling the truth. I don't really care who's mad. You can't argue with the truth. The Most High is not against no man having multiple wives, as long as you taking responsibility for your women, and long as you honoring Him. It's nothing sinful or wicked about that at all. In this case, Sarai, she chose another woman. She like, well, I can't give him no baby, so I'm not about to be selfish. I want him to have an heir. I want him to have a son, so I'm gonna get another woman that's that I know that's close to me, so I can give him so he can have a son. So she chooses her Egyptian maidservant, which at that time, I found that kind of strange. I never heard of, before that time it would be the other way around after that later on, where the Egyptians would have the Hebrews as maid servants. But in this case, she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. So she says, "The Most High has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my maidservant. Perhaps I can build a family through her." So almost like a surrogate. Abram agreed to do what Sarai said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai his wife took her Egyptian maidservant Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. But in this case, um it's not like a surrogate because she actually became his wife too. So now he has two wives. And I know, you know, Christianity and all these different religions say they believe in the Bible, but they don't want to practice anything really in the Bible. anything that the Most High says, they tell you all that stuff is old, it's done away with. You don't have to do none of that stuff since the Messiah came. You can just do pretty much whatever you want. All you got to do is just go to church and repent, and you cool. And that's not true. The Most High said He's the same now, the same forever and always. He don't change. So He not gonna do away with His laws and commands just like that and just say, well, pretty much anything goes, and all you got to do is repent because I sent my son. That's not how that worked, and that's not what that was about. So it says he slept with Hagar and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. So this where the problem arises, but this can happen in any situation. So the Most High did not say, he left that up to the man's discretion. He didn't tell nobody per se, oh, you got to take this many wives, that many wives, or whatever. But, obviously we learn lessons. That's what the Bible is for, to teach us lessons. If you take 2 women, 3 women, 4 women, well, I mean, problems can arise, just like problems can arise in any other situation, jealousy, or if they don't get along, or whatever. In this case, Hagar started to have a disdain for Sarai. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, you are responsible for the wrong I'm suffering. I put my servant in your arms, and now that she knows she's pregnant, she despises me. May the Most High judge between you and me. Your servant is in your hands, Abram said. Do with her whatever you think is best. Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. So it's wild because Abram, like, well, this was your servant. Although she my wife now, you gave her to me. He like, man, it's whatever. You do whatever. You my number one wife, so you do it. She started off as your servant. You figure out what to do with her. So that was almost like her green light for her emotions and her feelings, and then she began to mistreat Hagar. So Hagar left. The angel of Yah found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? She said, I'm running away from my mistress Sarai. She answered. Then the angel of Yah told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. The angel added, I will so increase your descendants that they will be too numerous to count. The angel of Yah also said to her, you are now with child. You will have a son. You shall name him Ishmael, which means in Hebrew, God hears. For the Most High has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility. Or in Hebrew, or Samaic, it can also mean he will live to the east of all his brothers. She gave his name. She gave his name to the Most High who spoke to her. You are the Elohim who sees me. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. That is why the well was called Bir Lahai Ro, which means well of the living one who sees me. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. Now, sometimes when people hear these ages, because we don't have any other reference, we think 86 years old, we think of an 86-year-old now, but they lived longer in those times. So they wasn't living the 900 and the 700 and all that like they was living before the great flood, because like Noah, I think Noah lived to be 930. They wasn't getting that type of time, but they still was living older than we were. So 86, excuse me, might not appear physically to be the 86 that you would see now. If people were living longer than 86, and I'm just, using my mind and what the Most High gave you, using the facts of the Bible, 86 might be appear to be something like 50 or something, or 40, or I don't know, but it wasn't necessarily the 86 that we think of now, because most people not even here at 86. Most people then transitioned and passed away by 86 in this lifetime anyway. So at 86 is when he had his first child, when Hagar uh bore him Ishmael. Genesis 17. When Abram was 99 years old, the Most High appeared to him and said, I am Yah Almighty, the El Shaddai. Walk before me and be blameless. I will confirm my covenant between me and you and will greatly increase your number. So the Most High keep reminding Abram of his covenant. He keep reaffirming this covenant that he's making with him, and not just him, our people, all descendants of Abraham for years and years to come. He keep telling you, I will increase your numbers. Your people gonna be, greatly increase. Your name and your lineage is gonna always be known. But he also told them, your people going into slavery for 400 years too. He definitely told them that. Abram fell face down, and Yah said to him, As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram, which means in Hebrew, exalted father. Your name will be Abraham, which means father. So the Most High changed his name. Again, Genesis 17 and 5. No longer will you be called Abram, you will be called Abraham. For I have made you a father of many nations. So we know now that the Most High changed his names. Okay, so even when people are growing in the truth, it's a lot of debate over the name of the Creator, of the Most High. It's debate, because some people will say, not debate as far as, I don't say a lot of arguing, but it's just people use different variations of his name. So some people say Yah, which is short for Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahshua. I mean, not Yah. Well, Yahshua would be the Messiah, but Yah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Ahiah. So it's different variations. Even when it comes to the Messiah, it's variations. Yahshua, Yahweh Shai, Yahuwah, just different variations, but it's all the same. The Most High changes parts of the name, long as it's basically the same variation. The names get changed because as people move and gravitate in different areas as time go along, the base is still Yah. So anytime you hear Hallelujah, Ahaya, praise Yah, Yahweh, Yahweh, it's all the same. It's no point, and there's no need to argue that. That's just uh that's just division, a spirit of division, because it all go back to Yah. The Most High know his name. He even said, I am who I am. The Most High, we call him the Elohim, which is God, El Shaddai, the Almighty. So it's not no just one thing that he was called over the course of thousands and thousands of years. So it's no need to have no silly debate about that. But one thing you have to be clear on is that his name was not just no God. God is a Gaelic word. The Most High said you can have other gods besides me. If it's all types of gods, thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of gods throughout history, and you can make anything a god and praise anything, then why would his name be God? You know that's not his name. So say his correct name or some form of his correct name. Give him his true honor and his true power, because if you're not calling on his correct name and you're not giving him his true honor and power, how can you be asking him for things, and how can you expect for his light to truly shine through you if you just saying God, God? And plus, you can't trust that, because it's a whole lot of wicked people that's going around talking about I love God, praise God, God this, but they God is, a lot of them, they God is Satan, they God is these other different gods, and it's all still wickedness and false idols, because them gods don't have no real power. Satan got some wicked power, but even with that wicked power, it's only in the world, and it ain't gonna lead you nowhere but to hell, and lead you away from the Most High. It's gonna lead you to destruction. It ain't gonna lead you nowhere good. So we in Genesis 17, back to the Most High reestablishes, reaffirms his covenant with Abram. He changes his name from Abram to Abraham. He tells him, you're going to be the father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant. Everlasting is forever. Genesis 17 and 7. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you, for the generations to come, to be your Elohim, and the Elohim, the God of your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you are an alien, a foreigner. An alien is a foreigner. I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you, and I will be their God. I will be their Elohim. Then Yah said to Abram, as for you, you must keep my covenant. So a covenant is an agreement, a bond, an everlasting bond, not just like um no contract you sign in the world. It's much deeper than that, because this is between you and the Almighty Creator. It ain't no joke. It ain't no thing where you can just back out of. It ain't no thing where you just gonna decide what's going on. This is between you and the Creator. The Most High is telling him the covenant between you and me. Yah said to Abram, as for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants. So not just you, your people to come, your children, your grandchildren, great, 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 all that, down the line. All your people that come from you must keep this covenant, though. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. So this is one thing he giving them, a thing that you must do as part of this covenant. The Most High says, every male among you shall be circumcised. I think we all know what circumcision is: cutting the foreskin off the penis. Circumcision. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. So circumcision is a sign of the covenant between Abraham and Yah, between our people and Yah. Circumcision. For the generations to come, every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or brought with money from a foreigner, those who are not your offspring. So even if somebody is in your house as a servant, they must be circumcised too. If you didn't get circumcised at 8 days old because whatever happened, or if you was a foreigner and you're not an Israelite, you still was supposed to get circumcised if you was in that Israelite's home or he was taking care of you. You was part of his family, basically. So anybody 8 days old and up. At that time, that was a new covenant. So Abraham, he was clearly 99 years old when he got that message. So he wasn't 8 days old, but he still went on to get circumcised, as you're gonna read. As we gonna read. Whether born in your household or brought with your money, they must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant forever. An uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. Yah also said to Abraham, as for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Again, the Most High changes people's names. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her, and I will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of people will come from her. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? So she was 10 years younger than him, but she was still old. So even though they lived somewhat longer in this time, because the Most High had changed the age, people was living 700, 600, 700, 800, 900 years, but they kept doing wickedness. That's why the Most High destroyed the world in the first place, destroyed people's life in the world in the first place. He made a new covenant with Noah and said he would not destroy the world by flood again. He didn't say he wouldn't destroy the world. He wouldn't destroy life on earth. He just said not by flood. But obviously 99 or 100, he must have been turning 100, or he rounded it off. And 90 for Sarah, that was still old. And he didn't believe it. He like, he laughed. Which you like, that's wild. You laughed at the Most High, but I mean, ain't that wild? Cause we laugh every day. It's just different because the Most High was speaking directly to him. But he speaks to us and we laugh. We don't listen. He laughed. He just couldn't believe it. He thought it was maybe a joke. And Abraham said to Yah, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Then Yah said, yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. And Isaac means he laughs. So the Most High, you see the Most High like, okay, it's funny to you laughing because you don't believe. You think I'm telling a joke, so you going to name your son Isaac. He laughs. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant, my bond, my agreement, my blessings, my supreme agreement, I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. When he had finished speaking with Abraham, Yah went up from him. So he left. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and all those born in his household or bought with his money, every male in his household, and circumcised them, as Yah told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. Abraham and his son Ishmael were both circumcised on that same day. And every male in Abraham's house, including those born in his household or bought from a foreigner, was circumcised. So the very day that the Most High told him to do it, he went on and had everybody circumcised, no matter what their age, because the Most High had just established that covenant. So none of them were 8 days old. They were all much older than that. So if you know anything about circumcision, the younger you get it, the less painful it is. I guess maybe because the nerve endings and stuff is not as strong or whatever, I'm not sure. But as you get older, it hurts more and the recovery time is more. So the Most High knows everything. So that's why he said, okay, get it done at 8 days old. So therefore, you won't be, the males won't be in so much pain and all that type of stuff. Because when you older, it's some downtime that goes with that. You may be down for a week or a couple of weeks because of the pain of getting that procedure done when you older. So the Most High, he's all knowing. He foreshadowed that, of course. He established it. And this is a covenant for Israelite people and anybody in the household of an Israelite, any foreigner, any of whatever. Now, the people on earth that get circumcised the most are black men. This is a common practice. So this is another thing that lets you know that you're an Israelite. But it's many, many, many things, and we're going to cover it as time goes along. It's a lot of other nations. Circumcision is not a thing that they really practice. And then the Khazars who say that they are the chosen people and they not, we really are the real chosen people, the real Jews. We're the Israelites of the Bible. This is what we primarily practice. We went through all these other things. We went through the 400 years of slavery that we talked about, that was prophesied. We went through that multiple times. They did not. So it comes a point in time, it's a matter of stolen heritage and lineage, and it's important as a black person to know. And it's not that everybody that got dark skin, brown and black skin, is not an Israelite, but for those who are black Americans, many in the African nation, many, the Dominican brothers and different brothers all across the world, because we've been scattered all across the world, brothers and sisters, Jamaicans, all these different people who are given all these different terms based off the name of some land that typically men have named these lands, whatever they are, and then a person claims that identity, and that's just where you were born. You could be born anywhere. That's not your true lineage and your true heritage. You are an Israelite for the ones who are, and the other ones, you whatever you are. But you're not, if you take a so-called black person and you move them to France and they have their baby, the couple has their baby in France, in this day and age, they'll say the child is French. That child not French. French is not even a lineage. French is a place. You may even can call in today's society and say that's a nationality, but that child will not actually be French. That child is based on what their DNA is. And if that child is an Israelite, that's in their DNA. That's in a haplogroup. But we'll get into that. That's much deeper. We'll have to get into that later. That's much deeper. But we just going biblically right now. We're not even going to talk about the science part of it yet, or none of that. But that child that was born in France that came from somewhere else, it's not a French child. You can say that, but that's not truthfully accurate. If that child's an Israelite, it don't matter where you place that person, where the person is born, they still an Israelite. And we must remember that, because that's the only way that we gonna learn our true heritage, our true lineage, and to know that this Bible, this is who the people in the Bible, the people who's supposed to follow these laws and commands to the T. Yeah, other nations are supposed to follow them too, but ultimately these laws and commands and different things, they was given to us as Israelites. We supposed to be Yah's light. We supposed to be, we're his chosen people. If you're chosen, that means you're special, but to whom much is given, much is expected. And that's why we got punished, and we're getting punished so severely, because if I make you special and I choose you to be my prized possession, as Yah says, and he did, then I'm holding you to higher expectations. I don't want you to follow other nations. If they're doing wickedness, if they're doing idolatry, if they're doing this, they can do that. That's their business. I'll take care of them. But you're not supposed to do that. But then since we said, oh, we're going to do that stuff too, he said, okay, well, I'm going to really take care of you. But we're gonna get off into that, because to get off into that, we gotta really get off into Isaiah and Deuteronomy. That's when you learn all about the blessings of obedience and the discipline for the curse, and the curses and the discipline for the disobedience. But we'll study that at a later time, or that'll be another video. So everybody got circumcised. Genesis 18. Yah appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre, where he was sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of day. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, does not pass your servant by." See, this is another thing. Lord, when people be using that word Lord, they call regular people Lord. So that's not an accurate term either. Like if you were somebody of high ranking or nobility, or somebody that had favor, or somebody that had authority over, they would say, my Lord, you my Lord. So that's not a proper term either. We use it, but it's really not a proper term for the Most High, saying my Lord. So he bowed to the men and said, Do not pass your servant by. If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant. Very well, they answered. Do as you say. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. Quick, he said, get three seahs of fine flour, which was really 23 quarts if you measure it by today, because in Hebrew we had different terms of measuring, of course. Get 3 seahs of fine flour and knead it and bake some bread. Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice, tender calf and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared, and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. Where's your wife Sarah? They asked. There in the tent, he said. Then the Most High said, I will surely return to you I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I am worn out and my master is old, will, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Most High said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for Yah? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh. So, again, when Yah told Abraham that they were going to have a child, a son, he laughed. And that's why the Most High told him to name him Isaac. That was part of that. And then Sarah later, when she found out, she laughed. So they like, this is crazy. We's too old. I don't believe this. This funny. It was comical to them. But when they were talking about the three men, they were men of Yah. So sometime when the Bible say men of God came, a lot of times that was interchangeable in Hebrew. Men of God, they could have actually been angels. They might have been angels, or they might have just been men of God, men that Yah chose to deliver a message. But either way, the message was from Yah. It was delivered. The Most High said, I'm going to give you a child, a son, and they laughed. They didn't believe it. Abraham pleads for Sodom. When the men got up to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Most High said, should I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of Yah by doing what is right and just, so that Yah will bring about for Abraham what he has promised. So the Most High chose him specifically. He was the Most High's man. He like, I'm choosing you. You're gonna be my servant. But not serving in a sense like we think in the world and we do people in the world. A servant in the Most High's eyes, you got great favor. He's saying, I'm gonna bless you above all nations. All the whole earth is gonna be blessed through you. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin is so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. So they doing so much wickedness. People is crying out. The angels is crying out. And the Most High like, well, let me go, let me take a peek. I know, he know everything. He like, let me just check. I'm the Most High, the God of everything. So I'm sure he busy. He got a lot going on. But he like, let me take a peek. Let me see what's going on in this Sodom and Gomorrah. Is it as bad as what I'm hearing? What the angels is telling me? The men turned away and went toward Sodom. But Abraham remained standing before Yah. Then Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare or not forgive the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge be the judge of all earth do right, or the ruler of all earth do right? So Abraham had enough confidence, he had enough righteousness in him, and he knew he was favored by Yah. He came at the Most High like, Father, Abba, you gonna really destroy the righteous people with the wicked. So that's why in these times where they try to tell you like, oh, it's not that big of a difference between somebody righteous and wicked, and even in parts of the Bible in the New Testament, how they kind of change things up because that was written by the Romans. So I believe a lot of that was changed up because it just contradicts too much of the message, the original message of Yah. That whole concept and the teachings that they be teaching based on some of this stuff is trying to make you feel like or think, oh, all sin is the same. Uh, no sin. It's really no difference, and that's preposterous. If a person tell a lie to their mother about eating a candy bar, and somebody go out and rape somebody based off the false teachings and indoctrination, they'll tell you that's the same. Sin and sin, it ain't no difference. Is you insane? That's insanity. The Most High don't deal in no wickedness and insanity, and that's how you be knowing what's the Most High truth. He dealing. If you have to really study the word, he don't deal in no insanity. You have to use your sense that the Most High gave you. The Most High deal in righteousness. The Most High is very specific about the things he wants, his laws, statutes, and commands. He hates foulness and wickedness, especially to a high grade and a high extent. So a sin is a sin will never be true. Anything is comparable to the next thing will never be true. Everybody's created the same. That's never true. That's not backed on this. That's lies and falsehoods. Because that would mean that everything he telling you about the chosen people, all the punishments that we going through because of our wickedness, all that would be lies, and it's not lies because it's happening. If everybody was the same, if everybody was made in Yah's image, if he favored all people the same, then it wouldn't be no such thing as called favor. Everybody would look the same. Everybody would act the same. It would be no such thing as wickedness or righteousness, because if everybody's the same, if all sin the same, then it's no point to differentiate anything. You don't need laws and commands to tell you the different level of sin when the Most High tell you all in this Bible certain things you do. You just have to do a sin offering for, but other things you do, if they're greater sins, then people was killed for it, people was banished for it, all types of things. It wouldn't be no differential between anything. It would just be either no penalty or the same penalty for everything. So those are all lies. And all of these things are done to keep you in wickedness and to bring you in wickedness. And so you can be like, well, if all I got to do is just say, oh, I'm sorry, Jesus, which his name was Jesus. I'm sorry, Yahshua. I'm sorry, Yahweh Shai, about doing this, and that's it. And I can just keep doing stuff and it don't really matter. Then you're going to keep doing wickedness. If it don't matter what's the level of wickedness, then you'll think that you can go out and kill somebody and it's the same as if you steal a loaf of bread. That's preposterous. Of course that's not. You think the Most High value a loaf of bread over a person's life? If you hungry, he don't care about you taking no loaf of bread. Now don't just, if a person took the loaf of bread and they can afford to take a loaf of bread, and they afford to buy a loaf of bread, then of course it's like you sinning. Why are you taking it? But if you're starving and a person take a loaf of bread, the Most High ain't punishing that person because they took a loaf of bread and they starving to death. That's stupidity. But this is the world we live in. People taking the word of the Most High, rewriting it, reteaching it, putting Satan in it, using things that weren't even meant for them, perverting it, and then presenting it back to the world and trying to justify things like slavery, trying to justify things like homosexuality, trying to justify things like it's okay to kill people if I say so, or I can just say I'm doing it up under God, so it's cool. It's okay to celebrate different holidays because long as I say I'm a good person or I'm this or I'm that, then it's okay. It's okay to do all of this wickedness. It's okay to take people's money because if I say that I'm a pastor or I'm a religious person, then it's okay. That's all lies. And the Most High gonna judge, and He gonna take care of all that, and He does take care of all that. Some people get it in the physical, and some people get it in the afterlife. But best believe the Most High takes care of all of it. But your job, if you're an Israelite, and even if you're not an Israelite, and you want to be close to the Father and you want to do righteousness, your job is to follow the laws, statutes, and commands to the best of your ability, to love and have goodness in your heart, to keep the Sabbath, which is Saturday, not Sunday. We know Sunday is not the first day of the week. I mean, the seventh day of the week, excuse me. Sunday is the first day of the week, excuse me. I will correct that and say that again. Sunday is the first day, Saturday is the seventh day. On the seventh day, he rested. So on Saturday, he rested, not on Sunday. And Sunday worship is in the word, meaning the word says sun, day. So if you separate it, sun and day, that's when people were worshiping the sun and they continued to practice. Again, I messed up, so I want to specify. Saturday is the Sabbath, not Sunday. So you're worshiping incorrect if you're going to church and doing all that on Sunday. You're supposed to be resting. You're supposed to be doing fellowship. You're not supposed to be doing no work on no Saturday. Period. The Most High struck people down for doing work on the Sabbath. You don't do no work. You relax just like He relaxed. After He created the world, He created man, He created everything. He sat back and chill. And He said, if I can sit back and chill, you can chill. He doing us a favor. He said, man, y'all done worked all week. I know how the world is because I made it. I know what you're going through because of y'all sins and all that. You weren't supposed to have to be toiling and doing all that work. But He told Adam, because of your sin and wickedness, you're going to have to toil and work to eat. That wasn't going to happen at first. So you got to work hard, okay. But if you work hard all through the week, then don't be working on Saturday too. If I can rest and I'm the creator, then you can rest. That's my command. He don't play about that. And we have to get back to His laws and commands if we ever want to get out of this. So we going to stop there because I don't want to be too long. We going to stop where we at. We in Genesis 18. So the Most High trying to see what He gonna do, which He already know, but He's seeing what He gonna do with Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham is pleading for Sodom and Gomorrah, not pleading for their wickedness, but pleading for anybody that might be righteous. He's saying, if it's 50 people, are you gonna kill? If it's just 50 out of the whole city, are you gonna kill both people in the cities? Are you gonna kill everybody and just kill them righteous people too? And the Most High like, nah, if it's 50 people that's righteous, I won't kill them. Abraham continues to go on. What if it's 30? What if it's 40? What if it's 30? What if it's 20? All the way down to what if it's 10? The Most High, like, hey, even if it's 10, I won't kill him. But he already know it's not 10, so he not even worried about it. He giving him, the space to even be able to say and do all this, obviously because he highly favored. Plus he already know it's not 10. So he like, well, you can plead for him, but it's not. It's nobody really righteous there. And that's wild if you sit up and think about it. That like, dang, in a whole city, in a whole town, a whole land, who knows how many people they had, but in all this land, Sodom and Gomorrah, basically two cities and towns, nobody righteous. That's wild. But until next time, I'll be coming back at you, y'all willing, on the next Sabbath, and we'll continue with our learning, and we just gonna continue to go over these things because we need to know who we are and what we're supposed to be doing, why we're going through this, and how to get out of it, and just living righteous even while we going through it, doing the right thing so you can get to heaven, so you can be seated with the Father. When the Most High come back and the meek does inherit the earth, you want to be a part of that, if possible, or you want your descendants, because we know the Most High punishes for generations to come, and He blesses for generations to come. So even if you can't see the world be a great place, you want your children or great grandchildren, your grandchildren, or even your lineage far down the line. We sit and think that we just live for ourselves, but that's wickedness. That's the worldly thoughts. They tell you, oh, just establish your money, especially amongst our people. This is what they tell Israelites, so-called black people. Oh yeah, when your child is 18 or 20, get them out the house. They on their own and don't, whatever. I did my job. That ain't how you know. That's not how it's supposed to go. Some people don't leave the house, even in the Bible. Some of them didn't leave the house to 20, 30, 40 years old. And then their parents still looked out for them, and they looked out for their parents. That's wickedness, just throwing somebody to the world. But that's what the world want, because if you just cast your child to the world, then what you think the world gonna do with them? They either gonna chew them up and spit them out, or they gonna totally corrupt them and bring them into wickedness. Either or. But I leave y'all with peace. I pray that this word uplifts the Most High and has favor in His eyes first and foremost. I hope that it resonates in your heart. I hope that you go and do your study, because you're supposed to study to show thyself approved. You don't have to just believe me. Go get your Bible, pray, research, meditate on Yah. Sit with the Father, sit with the angels, talk, think about these things. I thank you for your time. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace and blessings. Shalom. Until next time, this brother Jay Israel, also known as the Guardian of Truth. Peace.